Greetings, it's Ian from Martio here. Welcome to another day of great rankings and all sorts on the channel. Today we're going to have a look at the Eagles. This was put in because we sadly lost Randy Meisner, the original bass player, not so long ago. Formed in 1971 in Los Angeles. And they've had 5 #1 singles, 6 #1 albums, 6 Grammy Awards. And they were one of the most successful musical acts of the 70s in North America. Founded by Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon and Randy Meisner. And they were recruited, remember, by Linda Ronstadt as a backing band and played on her 3rd solo album before venturing out on their own on David Geffen's new Asylum Records. Now in their career they only put out 7 albums. They said they didn't break up, they just went on a long holiday. But they're still sort of making, they're not making records anywhere, but they do go out and tour. So let's have a look at their 7 albums. I like most of them. In fact, there's at least about 4 or 5 tracks on each album I like, well, apart from the ones near at the top, which I do like. So coming in at number 7, we have the 7th and final, I'd say is the final album of the Eagles. It was released in 2007, their first double album, and nearly took 6 years to produce, and it was their first album since 1979, and it's Long Road Out of Eden. So playing on this we have Glenn Frey on guitars, keyboards and vocals and bass guitar, Don Henley drums, vocals and percussion, Joe Walsh keyboards and guitars, Timothy B. Schmidt on guitar. Additional personnel on here, we've got Stuart Smith on guitars and mandolin and Scott Crago on drums. First track on this one is called No More Walks in the Wood. I love the harmonies at the beginning of this. It's a really good song. Quite like that one. Then we get How Long. It's a bit of a country sort of song. Very typical Eagles song. Glenn Frey does the singing with Don doing the helping out. Really good. What Do I Do With My Heart? One of the slower tracks that really didn't hit all the notes for me. I mean, it's Don and Glenn are singing on it. It's alright. Guilty of the Crime, great little rocker this is. Joe Walsh written song with Frankie Miller and Jerry Lee Lynn Williams. Catchy tune, catchy track, I like that one. I Don't Want to Hear Any More, written by Paul Carrick and Mr. Schmidt. It's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Waiting in the Weeds, it's an okay song, but this one tends to go on a little bit. Fast Company, nice riffs, it's alright. Do Something, typical sort of country song from Eagles. You're Not Alone, quite a pleasant song, but not the best on the album, I'm afraid. Long Road Out of Eden, very slowish song. It does pick up towards the end, but it's too long. Then we have a short little guitar piece from Glenn. I Dreamed There Was No War, pretty good. Somebody, very Bruce Springsteen, I like that. Veiled Grasp on the Big Picture, some funky guitar on this one, I quite like this. Then we get my favourite track on this album, which is called Last Good Time in Town. It's got a nice melody, a bit of Santana thrown in there, and a great vocal from Joe Walsh. I like that track. I Love to Watch a Woman Dance, bit of a filler, struggling here. Business as Usual, solid track, got some really nice guitar solos on it, I like that one. Centre of the Universe, nice acoustic number with some great harmonies from all of them. Excellent little track. It's not It's Your World Now. Bit of a filler track for me. It doesn't do much for me. Although there has got, I think there's far too many tracks. This shouldn't have been a double album. I think if it'd have had the best tracks on a single album, it'd probably be a bit higher. But I do like a few of these tracks. There's some really good tracks on here. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 6, we've got the 6th album, released in 1979, and it was the first Eagle album to feature Timothy B. Schmidt, who replaced the late Randy Meisner. And it was the last full studio album to feature Don Felder before his termination with the band. So on here we've got Don Felder on guitars and organ, Glenn Frey on vocals, Don Henley on vocals and drums, Timothy B. Schmidt on vocals and bass, and Joe Walsh on the guitars. First opening track is The Long Run. Great track, one of my favourite tracks by the band. Good little rocker. I like that one a lot. I can't tell you why. Another one of my favourites. Some really cool guitar work on that one. Great bass line from Timothy as well. Then we get in the City. Another great rocker. Some great guitar work there. You can hear the Joe Walsh guitars on that one. Pretty strong track. The Disco Strangler. It's alright. Wouldn't say it's particularly a favourite of mine. King of Hollywood. Love the bass line on this. The drumming from Don is brilliant, but the rest of the track is a little bit lacklustre. Okay, next track, my favourite track, one of my favourite tracks actually by the Eagles. It's called Heartache Tonight. Everyone knows this. I love them harmonies at the beginning. Great guitar solo, one of the classics. Those shoes, love the bass and a bit of a coda in there. Pretty good, I like that one. Teenage Jail, nice riffs in this. The Greeks Don't Want No Freaks, bit poppy for me. It's a little bit poppy for Eagles. Then we get the Sad Cafe, nice harmonies, but the rest of it's a little bit lacklustre. Yeah, there may be some classics on this album, but some of the tracks are a little bit ordinary. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 5, we've got the 3rd album, released in 1974. And it's On the Border, and this was the first album to feature Don Felder on guitars. So we've got Glenn Frey, Bernie Leadon, Don Felder, Randy Meisner on doing the business. So first track on this one, it's already gone. Sorry, I really like this one. I love the guitar work on this. Just a great bass line from Randy as well. Solid track. You Never Cry Like a Lover, another really good track. A really good vocal from Don on this one. Really strong track. Midnight Flyer, song written by Randy Meisner. It's got some great guitar work. Bernie Leadon on the banjo. Really strong track. Proper country rock. Really like that track. My Man, it's okay. Doesn't rock me boat though. On the Border, great track. One of the great tracks by the Eagles. It's a great little rocker that is. Some great riffs on that one. Then we have the classic James Dean. Such a catchy tune. I like that one. Old 55. Pretty solid song. Another classic from the band. Is It True? Another great bass line from Randy on this. Fantastic little song. Good Day in Hell. Love this. My favourite track. I love the slide guitar. It's done by Don Felder. It's a really good track. I love that track. And Best My Loves. Some of the best harmonies on this album. And a really nice acoustic guitar. Another very good album. Again, we've got so many classics on this one. An album full of absolute gem songs. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 4. It's the 4th album released in 1975, One of These Nights. And it was the last Eagles album to feature the original lineup of Randy Meisner, Glenn Frey, Don Henley and Bernie Leadon. So, as I said, it's Glenn, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon, Randy Meisner and Don Felder is also on this. So the first track is the classic One of These Nights with that lovely great bass line from Randy. Boom, 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 boom. Absolutely really classic song, great song as well. Then we get Too Many Hands, solid track, another classic. I love that track. Then we get Hollywood Waltz, lovely gentle sort of tracks, a great vocal from I think it's Don. Love that. Then we get my favourite track on here, one of my favourite pieces of music by the Eagles. It's the Journey of the Sorcerer, known to many of us as the theme to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Absolute fantastic track. Really, I love that track so much. Lion Eyes, another classic from the band. There's so many good tracks on this. Then we get Take It to the Limit. These classics keep on coming. Another great track. I love that one. Then we get Visions, great little rocker. We've had some classics. Now Visions is one of these sort of deep cut tracks on this album, and it's rocks. Really strong track. Then the last, I think this is the last, no, 2 more, sorry. After the Thriller's Gone, great bass line here from Randy. I really enjoy this track. It's a nice gentle one, but it's solid. And then I Wish You Peace, it's okay, not my favourite on the album. A great album again. So many great classic tracks on this. This is a nice early evening or Sunday morning album. That's when I tend to play this. Absolute solid. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. Okay, coming in at number 3, we've got the second album released in 1973, Desperado. So it's Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Bernie Leadon and Randy Meisner. Opening track, the brilliant Doolin Dalton. Love the guitar work on this, and the banjos and the mandolins on this. Really good track. Then we get 21. Now this song reminds me of something you'd hear on the old TV show The Dukes of Hazzard. It's got that real country Dixie feel to it. I love that track. Really good. Then we get my favourite track on this one, Out of Control. One of the good rockers. Now and again the Eagles would do a really good rocker, and this is one of them. The guitar work from Bernie and Glenn is fantastic. Solid track. Always been one of my favourites. Then we get the beautiful Tequila Sunrise. There's not much more you can say about that. It's just absolutely brilliant. Desperado, title track. Another fine track. One of my favourite songs by the Eagles. Then we get A Certain Kind of Fall. Love the harmonies on this. That's what I like about the Eagles, their lovely harmonies. Then we get a little bit more of Doolin Dalton. You can't do too much there. Then we get Outlaw Man. Lead straight in from that Doolin Dalton instrumental. This got some lovely acoustic guitar on this. One of my favourite tracks on here. It's a super track. Saturday Night. This is Don Henley and Randy Meisner singing, and there's a little bit of mandolin thrown in there from Bernie. Nice little track. Bitter Creek. I love the percussion in this. It's a shuffle, some bongos, some nice harmonies, and then we get a little reprise of Doolin Dalton and Desperado again. Do we need this? Not really. Love this album. So many great tracks on here. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have the debut album released in 1972. This is called Eagles. So it's Glenn, Don, Bernie, Randy. And the first track is the brilliant Take It Easy. Great harmonies on this. Just a solid track from the band. And then probably got my second favourite track ever by the Eagles. It's the brilliant Witchy Woman. I love this track. It's got that sort of North American Indian guitar sound. It really is, it's really good. Absolutely classic. Chug All the Night Away. One of them great rock tracks. Great harmonies. Glenn Frey doing the lead vocal, but the rest of the guys are doing a fantastic job on that one. Most of Us Are Sad. It's a nice, gentle sort of Eagle song. I do like that. Then we get Nightingale, a great country rock song. Great guitar solo on this. Train Leaves Here in the Morning, pure country song. It's alright. It's not one of my favourites. Take the Devil. Quite heavy in places. It's got that mixture of some gentleness and some heavy. Not too bad. Take the Devil is a pretty good track. Early Bird. Love the banjo on this. Just sitting there on the porch playing the banjo. Really good. Peaceful, Easy Feeling. Very country this one is. More country than rock. It's not too bad. And the last track is a great rocker called Trying. Really love this. I enjoy this album. It's got some absolute classics on that are not big hits. It's just an album from top to bottom of good songs. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 8.8. But my number one album is it's purely, there's not too much between 1 and 2, but there's just 3 tracks on this album that really did it for me, and they are in my all of the top 5 songs by the Eagles. It's their 5th album from 1976. It's Hotel California, and it's the first one that had Joe Walsh, who had replaced Bernie Leadon. It was the last album that had Randy Meisner as a full member of the band. So it's Don, Glenn, Don, Randy and Jose. First track is the classic. It's my favourite track by this band. I know everyone likes this, but there is a reason why it's my favourite, because it's just a brilliant track. It's Hotel California, of course. First thing, a great vocal from Don, but it's really known for that great guitar piece between Don, Glenn and Joe. What a track. Great, one of the greatest opening tracks on any album, I think. Then we get New Kid in Town. Very country, very pleasant track. Love Glenn's vocal on that. Really nice. He's had a lovely voice, did Glenn. Then we got probably my 3rd favourite track ever by the Eagles, Life in the Fast Lane, for that great opening riff, some great guitar work, great little rocker this is. Then we got Wasted Time, probably one of Randy's best bass lines, absolutely great. That's another great track. Then we have a little instrumental called Wasted Time, a little bit more of it, because in the end days this was an album, so the song hadn't quite finished, so they put the last bit on side 2, but when you listen to it on the CD it just flows nicely. Then we probably have my number 3, 4 track, Victim of Love. Great track, I love that riff. It's an unbelievable trick. Pretty Maids All in a Row, another of my favourites. Joe's first vocal song on an album. Great little track. Try and Love Again. Randy Meisner sings on this, and it's a really good track. Absolutely killer track. The Last Resort, another of my favourites. Don Henley vocals. And what a great track to end this album. Now, there's not a bad track on this. Solid from top to bottom. Contains 3 of my top 5 songs by the band. So it's going to be my number 1, isn't it? I love playing this album, and it was the first Eagles album I brought, so that's probably my favourite as well. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Do you think this album, Hotel California, does it deserve to be in the Battle Royale? You've still got time to get your entries in. 17th of September is the closing date. So if you think this deserves to be in there, why not enter it? All you need to do is go to find the thumbnail with this in the lists, and you'll be able to put your nomination in there. Okay, next up is retro ranking. And we're doing something a little bit different this week. Instead of going through pop songs and bands, I'm going to do one of these little specials that I keep throwing in, and this one is about sci-fi TV themes. Some of my favourite themes from the sci-fi programs from not so long ago to when I was growing up. So I've got my top 10 plus the usual honourable mentions. So a little bit different for us this week. So I'll see you for that. Bye for now.